In the small town of Charleston, South Carolina, there was an old mansion on 7th Street that had long been the subject of local lore. Known simply as the Hollis House, it was built in the early 1900s by the Hollis family, who were wealthy but secretive. The house was renowned for its grandeur, with sprawling verandas and intricate woodwork, but its beauty was marred by a sinister reputation. In the 1930s, the Hollis family vanished without a trace. One night, the entire family, parents and their 3 children, disappeared. The only clue was a series of disturbing notes found scattered throughout the house, written in a frantic, almost illegible script. The notes spoke of fear, paranoia, and a growing sense of being watched. Despite extensive investigations, no evidence was found, and the case eventually went cold. The house was left abandoned, and over the years its condition deteriorated. The once pristine gardens became overgrown, and the mansion's windows were boarded up. Locals spoke of strange occurrences, lights flickering in the dead of night, inexplicable noises, and sightings of shadowy figures. The house became a subject of fascination and fear. In the 1980s, a group of amateur paranormal investigators from Charleston decided to explore the Hollis House, intrigued by its chilling history. They arrived on a foggy October evening, their gear laden with cameras, tape recorders, and EMF detectors. As they approached the house, the atmosphere felt unusually heavy, and an eerie silence enveloped the property. Inside, the investigators noted the oppressive stillness. Dust covered everything, and the air felt cold despite the warm weather outside. They set up their equipment and began their investigation. The old mansion was as haunting as the legends suggested, with creaking floors and a pervasive sense of dread. As night fell, strange phenomena began to occur. The investigators captured unexplained flickers of light on their cameras and recorded bursts of static on their audio equipment. One of the investigators, Laura, felt an icy hand grip her shoulder while she was exploring the upstairs hallway. When she turned, she saw nothing but felt a cold chill lingering where the hand had touched her. The most unsettling part of the night was when the group entered the house's basement. The basement was a dark, musty space with old furniture and broken appliances. The investigators set up their equipment and started their session. As they reviewed the recordings, they heard a chilling voice saying, "Help us." The voice seemed to come from an old, rotting chest in the corner of the basement. When they opened it, they found a collection of old family photographs and personal items belonging to the Hollis family. Among the items was a hidden compartment containing a final, frantic letter written by Mrs. Hollis. It described a growing paranoia and a fear of something sinister in the house, culminating in the family's desperate attempts to leave. The letter mentioned a dark presence that seemed to follow them, whispering in the night. The family had planned to leave the house, but something or someone had prevented them from doing so. As the investigators left the Hollis house that night, they felt an overwhelming sense of unease. The house remained abandoned, its dark history and the fate of the Hollis family unresolved. Despite attempts to contact local historians and family members, no new information surfaced, and the case remained a chilling mystery. The Hollis house continued to stand as a somber reminder of its tragic past. Locals still report strange occurrences, lights flickering, distant cries, and shadowy figures moving through the windows. The house on 7th Street remains a place of ghostly whispers and unanswered questions, its dark history forever etched into the fabric of Charleston's past. In the years following the investigation, the Hollis house on 7th Street became more than just a local legend. It became an object of obsession for paranormal enthusiasts and historians. The house's dark history had taken on a life of its own, sparking numerous theories and continuing to draw the curious and the brave. In 1995, a new figure emerged in the tale of the Hollis house. Dr. Evelyn Shaw, a respected historian specializing in early 20th century American families, took an interest in the case. She was drawn not only by the mysterious disappearance of the Hollis family, but also by the troubling reports of paranormal activity. Dr. Shaw aimed to uncover historical records that might shed light on the house's dark reputation. Dr. Shaw's research led her to archives in Charleston and surrounding areas, where she combed through old newspapers, public records, and private documents. she discovered something startling. The Hollis family had been involved in local social and political circles, and there were whispers of secret dealings and scandals that had never been fully investigated. One document stood out among the rest, a ledger from a local church where Mrs. Hollis had been a member. The ledger contained records of numerous donations and charitable acts, but it also included cryptic annotations about dark dealings and unspoken pacts. Dr. Shaw was intrigued by these entries, as they hinted at possible connections between the Hollis family and unsavory activities that might have occurred in the house. Determined to investigate further, Dr. Shaw organized a new exploration of the Hollis House, this time with a team of historians and researchers rather than paranormal investigators. They aimed to uncover any additional historical evidence that could explain the family's disappearance. On a crisp winter morning, Dr. Shaw and her team arrived at the mansion. The house, now even more derelict, loomed ominously. The team began by examining the house's structural integrity and uncovering any hidden spaces that might hold clues. They carefully removed some of the old floorboards and discovered a hidden room behind a false wall in the basement, a room that had been completely sealed off. Inside, they found more personal belongings, including a collection of old diaries and a peculiar diary written by Mr. Hollis. The entries were disturbingly detailed and hinted at paranoia and fear. Mr. Hollis wrote about pacts with the darkness and his growing belief that they were being watched by malevolent forces. The final entry was particularly unsettling. "They are coming for us. We must leave before it's too late." The discovery of these documents led Dr. Shaw to further investigate the social and political connections of the Hollis family. She found evidence of conflicts with local figures who had a reputation for shady dealings. It appeared that the Hollis family may have been involved in a secretive network that had its roots in occult practices and dubious financial transactions. As Dr. Shaw delved deeper, she began to receive anonymous threats warning her to stop her research. Undeterred, she continued her investigation and even managed to track down descendants of the Hollis family, who had scattered and lived under assumed names. The descendants, however, were unwilling to discuss the past, further adding to the mystery. In early 1996, Dr. Shaw and her team conducted a final investigation of the Hollis House. This time, they used advanced equipment to search for hidden compartments and evidence of occult practices. Their findings were chilling. Hidden symbols etched into the walls of the basement, and a ritualistic altar that had been concealed behind a false wall. The investigators documented their findings and concluded that the Hollis family had been involved in some form of dark rituals. The combination of occult practices, financial troubles, and social scandals may have driven the family to a desperate act, leading to their disappearance. Dr. Shaw's research was published, adding new layers to the legend of the Hollis House. While the exact fate of the Hollis family remained a mystery, the house was now seen as a place where the supernatural and the mundane intersected. The once abandoned mansion became a symbol of unresolved darkness and the consequences of hidden sins. The Hollis House continued to stand as a chilling reminder of its enigmatic past. Locals still reported eerie occurrences, and the house became a focal point for those fascinated by its history and hauntings. Dr. Shaw's work ensured that the story of the Hollis House would not be forgotten, leaving an enduring legacy of curiosity and fear that surrounded the old mansion on 7th Street. Following Dr. Evelyn Shaw's groundbreaking research, the Hollis House had become a focal point of both academic curiosity and supernatural speculation. The new revelations added a layer of intrigue and horror to its already unsettling reputation. The house, once forgotten, now stood as a symbol of the dark underbelly of Charleston's history. But the story was far from over. In 1997, a young journalist named Alex Turner, fascinated by Dr. Shaw's findings, moved to Charleston with the intent of writing a book about the Hollis House. Alex was driven by a need to uncover the truth and hoped to delve deeper into the mysteries surrounding the mansion. He secured permission to spend extended periods in the house, intending to document his findings and possibly uncover more about the Hollis family's disappearance. From the moment Alex entered the house, he felt an uncanny presence. The once crumbling walls seemed to whisper secrets, and the shadows seemed to move with a life of their own. He set up camp in the main hall, where he meticulously reviewed old documents, conducted interviews, and began exploring the mansion's hidden corners. One evening, while examining the attic, Alex discovered a series of old, weathered trunks. Inside, he found personal items and letters that hadn't been previously uncovered. Among these was a sealed envelope marked with strange symbols that matched those found in the ritualistic altar. The letter, written in an elegant but shaky hand, was addressed to whoever finds this. The letter detailed the Hollis family's growing fear of a secret society they had inadvertently become involved with. The writer spoke of a pact made in desperation, believing that their involvement in this group had doomed them to a life of constant surveillance and eventual destruction. The letter concluded with a desperate plea for help and a warning to anyone who might try to uncover the truth. As Alex delved deeper into the letter's implications, he began to experience increasingly disturbing phenomena. His equipment malfunctioned without explanation, and he started receiving anonymous phone calls with cryptic messages. The calls seemed to warn him to stop his investigation or face dire consequences. Despite the threats, Alex pressed on, driven by a mix of fear and determination. One night, while reviewing footage from the attic, Alex saw something that froze him with terror. On the video, a shadowy figure could be seen moving behind him while he was working. The figure seemed to watch him, its presence so palpable that Alex felt a chill run down his spine. Determined to confront whatever was haunting him, Alex spent the following night in the attic alone. At around midnight, the temperature in the attic dropped suddenly. Alex's breath became visible, and he felt an overwhelming sense of dread. The shadows around him seemed to coalesce into a dark shape, and he heard whispers that he couldn't quite understand. In a fit of courage, Alex demanded to know who or what was responsible for the disturbances. The response was chilling. The whispers grew louder, forming coherent sentences that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. "We are bound to this place," the voices said. "The pact was never meant to be broken." In the midst of the voices, Alex saw an apparition of a young woman standing in the corner of the attic. It was Emily Hollis, her face etched with sadness and fear. She seemed to reach out to him, her expression pleading. Alex felt a sudden surge of empathy and realized that Emily might be trying to communicate a final message. The next day, Alex took his findings to local authorities and historians, but they were reluctant to intervene, fearing the house's notorious reputation. However, a few brave individuals agreed to accompany him for one final investigation. They conducted a thorough search of the property, and with the help of modern technology, they uncovered hidden compartments and even more unsettling evidence of occult practices. The investigation led to new theories about the Hollis family's involvement with a secret society that had used the house as a meeting place for dark rituals. The society's influence, coupled with the family's desperation, had created an environment ripe for fear and paranoia. The family's disappearance, it seemed, was a consequence of their attempts to escape the society's grasp. As the investigation concluded, the Hollis House gained a renewed reputation as a site of historical and supernatural significance. Alex Turner's book on the mansion became a bestseller, shedding light on its dark past and the mysteries that had surrounded it for decades. The house remained abandoned, its eerie presence continuing to intrigue and terrify those who dared to approach. Alex's experience left him changed, haunted by the shadows of the Hollis House. The mansion stood as a grim reminder of the hidden forces that can lurk behind even the most seemingly ordinary facades. The story of the Hollis House and its dark secrets became a legend, a tale of sorrow and horror etched into the annals of Charleston's history. The Hollis House, though abandoned, never truly left the minds of those who learned its story. It remained a place where the past and present intertwined, where the echoes of a dark history continued to whisper through its desolate halls. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. In the wake of Alex Turner's book on the Hollis House, interest in the mansion surged. Tourists, thrill seekers, and paranormal enthusiasts flocked to Charleston, eager to glimpse the infamous house and uncover its secrets. The mansion's reputation as a haunted site grew, and despite its eerie allure, the property remained untouched by major renovations or new occupants. As the years passed, the Hollis House continued to attract those seeking to unravel its mysteries. One such visitor was Dr. Amanda Green, a noted paranormal investigator and historian specializing in occult practices. Dr. Green had read Alex Turner's book and was intrigued by the possibility that the Hollis House was more than just a haunted location. It might be a focal point for unresolved supernatural forces. In 2001, Dr. Green contacted the current property owner, who was more than willing to allow another investigation in exchange for the promise of documenting any findings. Armed with state-of-the-art equipment and a team of specialists, Dr. Green set out to explore the mansion with a renewed focus on understanding the occult connections and the lingering spirits. Dr. Green's team began their investigation with a comprehensive sweep of the property. They used advanced ghost hunting tools, including infrared cameras, electromagnetic field meters, and EVP, electronic voice phenomena, recorders. They also employed psychics to channel any potential spirits that might be present. During the first few nights, the team experienced unusual phenomena. The electromagnetic fields fluctuated wildly, and their cameras captured fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures. The psychics reported feeling intense energy and described encounters with sorrowful spirits, including a young girl who seemed to be trapped and searching for help. As the investigation progressed, Dr. Green decided to focus on the basement and the hidden compartments discovered previously. She believed that the core of the house's paranormal activity might lie there. The team carefully examined the ritualistic altar and the symbols etched into the walls. Dr. Green and her colleagues conducted a series of seances and attempted to communicate with any spirits bound to the house. During one of these seances, something extraordinary happened. The temperature in the basement plummeted, and the team felt a powerful, oppressive force. The EVP recorders picked up a clear, disembodied voice saying, "Free us from our chains." The team was startled by this revelation. It became apparent that the spirits trapped in the house were not merely residual hauntings but entities bound by some form of dark ritual. Dr. Green theorized that the Hollis family might have been part of an occult ceremony that inadvertently bound their spirits to the house. Dr. Green and her team conducted extensive research into occult practices and rituals connected to the house. They discovered that the symbols and practices found in the basement were related to a ritualistic binding designed to control and imprison spirits. The Hollis family's involvement in this dark practice had, ironically, led to their own entrapment. Determined to release the trapped spirits, Dr. Green organized a final ritual. With respect for the historical context and a focus on breaking the binding, the team performed a complex ceremony aimed at freeing the spirits of the Hollis family and any other entities bound to the house. As the ritual concluded, the atmosphere in the mansion shifted. The oppressive energy that had haunted the house seemed to dissipate, and the temperature returned to normal. The team recorded a final EVP message that simply said, "Thank you." Following the ritual, Dr. Green and her team left the Hollis House, and the mansion was sealed once more. The once feared house had undergone a transformation. While it remained abandoned, the reports of paranormal activity diminished, and the haunting presence seemed to have lifted. The Hollis House became a symbol of redemption and resolution, its dark history now serving as a cautionary tale about the dangers of occult practices and the consequences of unresolved pasts. Dr. Amanda Green's work brought closure to a chapter of Charleston's history that had been shrouded in mystery and fear. In the years that followed, the house stood quietly, its dark reputation fading as new generations grew up with only the tales of its haunted past. The story of the Hollis House became a legend that highlighted the complexity of human fears, the impact of historical events, and the potential for resolution even in the most haunted of places. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. After Dr. Amanda Green's successful ritual, the Hollis House on 7th Street fell into a profound silence. The eerie disturbances that had plagued the mansion seemed to cease, and the once mournful whispers of trapped spirits faded into history. The house, now devoid of its haunting presence, stood as a solemn reminder of its dark past. In the years following the ritual, the mansion became a curiosity rather than a place of fear. It was occasionally visited by history buffs and curious locals, but the once dreaded house now seemed to exude a sense of calm. In 2010, a local historian named Emily Carter, inspired by the tales of the Hollis House, decided to renovate the mansion and transform it into a historical museum. She hoped to preserve the house's history and provide a place for the community to learn about its intriguing past. During the renovation, workers discovered an old, hidden compartment behind a wall in the attic, a space that had been missed in previous investigations. Inside, they found a final, surprising artifact, a collection of family portraits and a diary belonging to Emily Hollis, the daughter who had disappeared. The diary contained a poignant account of her life in the house, her fears, and her hope for a future beyond the mansion's walls. It revealed that Emily had tried to warn her family about the dark forces, and her final entries spoke of a longing for freedom and peace. With the discovery of the diary, the story of the Hollis House was finally complete. Emily Carter's museum brought new light to the mansion's history, honoring the memory of the Hollis family and offering visitors a glimpse into their lives. The house, once a place of haunting and mystery, became a beacon of historical preservation and reflection. The Hollis House on 7th Street, now a respected historical site, stood as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of uncovering and resolving the shadows of the past. The mansion's dark legend transformed into a story of redemption, providing closure for the restless spirits that had once lingered within its walls. And so, the Hollis House's tale ended not with a lingering specter, but with a legacy of peace and understanding, its dark chapters finally brought into the light. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story.